I'm a second year student of politics and international relations, and I have six of our fellow students here with us today. Say hi, girls. Yeah,
Hi.
and we are going to be discussing very important topics that we've come up with, of course, based on a lot of your questions, guys. This is a project that we have worked very carefully on from students to students. So this is obviously from all of our perspectives and things that we thought would be good to consider as if we were first year students, which, it was our case last year. So obviously, if you have any questions, please, you can write them down, throughout the duration of the event. We will try to answer them at the end of each section, and if not, at the end of the event. So let's begin the conversation with blended teaching. Sabina, which was one of the students that was going to be here with us today, but unfortunately she couldn't attend the event. She's a master's student in biomedicine, and she wanted to give a little bit the perspective from science-related courses. So of course, for those of you guys who are interested on them, practicals are very essential. That means you need the use of labs. Obviously, they haven't been eradicated completely. It's just the hours have dropped a little bit. So they went from 50 hours a week working in pairs to 15, 18 on average, working individually. You might think is a big drawback, but if you think about it, it's actually good because that means you have individually more time to speak, to ask questions. Obviously, you can't walk around the lab because everything is designed to be, 2 meters away from everyone. All of the material is sanitized. You walk in pairs of two to the lab. Everybody respects the measures. And yeah, it's obviously still, useful for her because she can still go to her practicals and just continue those dynamics. But what about the rest of you guys, my colleagues? Those of you who are not studying science-related courses but more arts, and you still need that use of group work areas, how are you finding it?
Yeah, so I've kind of felt my situation is quite similar to Sabina in the sense that, especially in the art side of things, where the department has tried to innovate new ways to kind of get us learning and also teaching. So we've used a lot of the art resources in fieldwork sessions, using stuff. So the lake, we've done drawing sessions on the lake, and also using our botanical gardens, our Harris Gardens, where we've kind of done some like painting sessions. And it's amazing to also take advantage of the beautiful green campus, but also be able to continue practicing and learning kind of in art. And all these things can be very kind of tailored to what you're studying. So a lot of the lecturers lead themselves. So some lecturers specialize in performance or sculpture. So a lot of fieldworks do focus on that. So you have that choice what you want to participate in. And I found that this has really enriched my studio practice because we can still use studios as they're kind of open to your space, and you can use that on a sign-up basis. And this has really kind of improved my experience this year and supported.
Lovely.
I study psychology, and I've basically gone from having like 12 hours to 15 hours a week on campus to only having 2 hours a week on campus. But I about 7 to 10 hours a week online. So that's things like online, all the lecture materials online, and it's all in my own time to go over. And my lecturers have made sure to have weekly drop-in sessions. So if you have any questions, we can submit them, and then in that session they'll answer them. So I think the main difference for me is that this year it's a lot more independent because everything's available online. I can access it whenever I want, so I can do it either when it comes out straight away or a month or so later. It will still be there, so it's for me to actively do the work to make sure I'm not falling behind.
Yeah, so this is actually a lot of my on-campus teaching this year has the same amount as I had last year. And then we have like additional materials. We have like screencasts that they put online that we do beforehand, which is really like complement our learning, which we didn't have before. And I actually find that really helpful. But there's also been so much flexibility, I think, because lecturers have been running, if they're doing an in-person class, they're also running an online class for students that aren't on campus and are having to isolate. So it means that no one has to miss out on any learning. So you aren't getting any less teaching than you were before. And I think it's been a really great experience.
Yeah, this is the whole idea of blended teaching, that no matter what your circumstances are, even if you guys think that, specific courses necessarily need to be face-to-face and otherwise you think you will fail or it'll be harder, like all of my colleagues have said, it's all been done in a very smooth way so that no matter what way you choose to study, you can still reach your objectives. So we've had a few questions coming in related to specific subjects. One of them is from Veronica. Hello, Veronica. And she was asking about a joint degree in art and psychology, which you're very lucky because Gabi, that's what she studies. So Gabi, this is for you. What does a timetable look like for a combined degree, in this case, your degree?
Yeah, that's a really great question and something that I really wondered, because of course you think that with a combined degree that's actually got 2 degrees in it. So the course itself for me is split 60-40, so 60 on art and 40 on psychology. So that means they're taught separately and they kind of feed into the timetable like that. So psychology was mostly lectures and workshops in the first 2 years. And then art workshops and material sessions and studio time is what we had for art. And that was like around 16 hours of contact time, if I remember correctly. So that's how they both kind of interacted the first 2 years when we had compulsory modules. But in my 3rd year, I got to pick my own modules, and also my studio practice was also kind of more self-led. So this was very dependent on my practice of painting, which can be a bit more time-consuming than other types of art. And yeah, it takes a little bit longer. So sometimes it might be a bit quicker for you, and you might kind of spend less time. So again, it like varies from like 16 hours to 20 hours. And right now in my final 4th year, my kind of timetable is structured differently, where it's what I decide to put in. So I'm juggling a dissertation and studio practice. So I usually spend like 3 days in and 2 days working in the psychology department, and it's quite well for me. So I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Gabi. Veronica, we hope that was detailed enough. So now we have another question about real estate. Our colleague Owen is going to reply to that. Unfortunately, he's not with us either here, but we have a recorded answer for you. So here's the video.
Hi, I'm Owen and I'm a 3rd year student studying investment in finance and property. We received this question from Prince asking about real estate, and I'm going to answer it here. Regarding the workload, I would say it's a flexible course, definitely not one that requires you to sit through a 9 till 4. If I remember correctly, I remember in the 1st year we had about 20 contact hours per week through lectures and tutorials, and as you go on you have more and more hours. The reason behind this is that it's a very independent course. Real estate is a broad subject, and this degree can lead into many roles within the real estate industry. Therefore, it allows time for students to conduct their own research, as well as keeping up with current affairs and business knowledge. Real estate in Reading is brilliant, and I'm certainly enjoying it. Not only is our department very professional, allowing our learning materials to be parallel to the work of firms in real life, we also have great connections with the industry, and every Tuesday we have the Reading Real Estate Foundation lectures where big firms like Savills and CBRE come in and give us talks and enable networking opportunities at the end, which is a competitive edge that Reading provides.
There you go. Thank you very much, Owen, for that. Before we move into the next section, I would like to say, guys, if you see that we can't reply to all of your subject-related specific questions about your courses, I'll suggest you keep an eye on the comments. My colleagues are going to try to post links that are strictly directed to our our profiles as Unibuddy student ambassadors. Some of you might have seen me there. We're going to be replying to all of your questions there as well, just in case. So moving on to the next section is student support and mental health. This is I think, a very interesting topic and important that a lot of people feel shy or feel some sort of way about asking. So we're just going to bring it for you guys. Learning from home can be very draining for some of us. For whatever the reasons, it's just hard. And it has been a challenge for mental health, especially during the first lockdown, because it was something so unexpected for everyone. So did you guys find yourselves struggling at some point? And if you did you ask for any support or anything?
Yeah, I it's a really big issue at the minute for students, and it was something I actually struggled with. Especially for this first lockdown, I had a lot of take-home exams and coursework that I had to do, and I wasn't actually at home or in my student accommodation. I was somewhere else, so it was definitely a bit of a struggle. But luckily, I received really good support from my department. My tutor was really good. She kept in contact, and still, like this term, I've had a lot of meetings with her and just people checking on you, just okay. And I think that's really great. And obviously, we have a really good counselling and wellbeing service at the university, and they've continued to support students. Obviously, not in person at the minute, but they've been using Teams, so it's been really, really effective. And I know when I spoke to them, my tutor suggested I speak to them. I sent them an email, and I had an appointment within 2 days just to talk to someone, and they were really helpful and like sorting out things that needed to be sorted out. The university also put in place a really good system to support us. Like with our assignments, because obviously they didn't want our results to reflect the circumstances we were in. They actually allowed our results to reflect our abilities by putting in place systems that meant we didn't have to worry about if we needed to retake, which I think was such a really important thing for students, because it wasn't like a big deal with universities at the time of how they were going to make sure that people got the grades they deserved.
Yeah, so on it was really important to me. I guess while the pandemic hasn't exactly like helped my mental health, I've actually suffered from anxiety and depression for many years. Without going into too much detail, I suffered through much of school, but I guess because the just lack of resources where I was from, there wasn't really any help for me, which kind of made me hesitant to reach out when I came to university. But I'm really glad that some of my flatmates I lived with in first year kind of encouraged me to get in contact with both Reading's counselling service that Constance spoke about and Reading's NHS kind of services. The university were just really supportive with me seeking a diagnosis. And I mean, the Reading doctors are actually the best I've ever experienced. Like my GP didn't stop until she found a way for me to be able to kind of manage my mental health in a way that was right for me. I ended up going through therapy on the NHS rather than through the uni's counselling service, just because that was what was right for me at the time. But just because I wasn't going through them directly, they didn't stop supporting me. I was registered with the Disability Advisory Service, who were fantastic. They helped me develop an individual learning plan, which basically both helps me get the most out of my classes while managing my symptoms, and also, as Constance was saying, was kind of making sure I wasn't disadvantaged in any assessments. They also helped me fill out the many forms to get additional financial support through student finance, which means that this year I now have things like accessibility software to help me manage my new online classes, and a specialist mentor to help me manage my workload as I've come into third year. And I just think that kind of without this support, I'd never really been able to get through my degree, much less keep a first average as I have. So I'm really grateful to the resources that we have here.
Yeah. For me, it was in second year. My gran passed away, and we knew she was ill in December. And basically, from then onwards, I had constant like support from my academic tutor. So we would meet up every time that I needed a chat. We were constantly emailing each other. She wanted to make sure I was okay, and we had cups of tea, coffee every like once a month, just so we could have that nice conversation. And then when my gran did eventually pass away, she sent me a step-by-step email of everything I needed to do to make sure that my exams weren't impacted, that I knew where to go if I felt like I needed extra support. she let the university know what had happened and that I'd been talking to her. So when it came down to like the extenuating circumstance form, she could write all my evidence for me, and all I had to do was sign it, because during that time I was not in the right headspace to be dealing with all the forms that needed filling in. So I feel like the support at the university is really good, and having an academic tutor who's there to support you more one-to-one is really helpful.
Thank you so much, girls. As you guys can see, mental health cannot necessarily be a struggle just now in COVID times. We're in university, life happens, things happen. You never know what you're going to be facing, and especially, I mean, even if you're in England, maybe you might be commuting, but international students, you don't have anyone here. You're by yourself, and things can be hard. Things can turn south at any moment. So it's important that from what you see from these experiences that they've been talking about, that you feel surrounded at some level, and that if you need to seek help, you can always, go and ask someone. So now we're gonna switch topics. We're gonna go to accommodation, which is one of your favorites. We receive a lot of questions on this. Before we start, talking about our experiences, I received questions I'm seeing here about how did we find our accommodation during our first year? How did we set it up, organize, moving in, the first days, all of that. So who would like to talk about this? Who would like to share her experience? Girls?
I'll go. It was really straightforward for me. Most of it was done online, and I was in halls before everything was online, so that was a really straightforward process. We found out what kind of halls we were going to be in about a month, maybe 6 weeks before I moved in, which meant we could kind of meet people we're living with on social media and that kind of thing, so it wasn't a complete surprise who we were living with on the day, which certainly took some of the pressure off. And then when we got there on the day, the university had got like former current students, but former students who've lived in halls to kind of help us like move in, which was great on a practical level because they helped me get my many heavy suitcases up 3 flights of stairs, which was definitely helpful, but also because they'd lived in the halls before, they knew just kind of simple stuff, like it was a key card system, and they're like, no, you need to really tap it, like leave it for a minute. And it's just those kind of really little things that would have stressed me out on my first day of like, oh, I can't get into my room, was just really kind of mitigated by having those students there who'd done it all before. So I think it was just a really smooth process and really friendly as well, but it just made everything so much easier.
I feel you so much on that one. I remember when I first came in, I was lucky and my mom came with me. So, I still had some sort of help. But I was sweating. I was carrying my suitcases. I didn't know where to go. But the thing is, as soon as I arrived to the station, because I was coming straight away from the airport, you're going to find student ambassadors there. So literally, you're going to see all over the town of Reading is, people spreading everywhere, just with big, signs telling you where to go, what you have to do. Like Alana was saying, everything seems complicated, so basic, but everyone is going to help you with any sort of little thing. So that is very smooth. But now going to the situation nowadays, how has the university adapted the facilities for us? Whoever is living in halls, how is the situation going on nowadays? So yeah, how are you guys living the experience?
Yeah, so our colleague Sabina, who we mentioned earlier, she's currently living in a Stenton townhouse, which is in Park Group. So it's only like a 10-minute walk from the centre of campus at most. I've done it quicker. She says she's been really impressed with how things have turned out accommodation-wise, because there was a lot of kind of like worry online with other universities about being like trapped or not allowed to leave, and that's just really not the case at all. Unis are allowed to continue to operate even though we're in this kind of second lockdown right now. So like for example, I still go to the library, I still go on walks with my housemates, or just a quick lap like around the lake while we're kind of in the middle of study sessions, just a nice chance to clear my head. There's been a lot of info, Sabina says, about what to do if anyone in the house does need to isolate. Like there's phone numbers to ring if you're not sure, and there's wardens for each kind of group of accommodations to email or contact if you do have any worries. One of my best mates is actually also in Stenton townhouses, funnily enough. She said that within 30 minutes of telling the uni that their flat had to self-isolate, there were cleaning supplies delivered to her door, and like a little care package with food and stuff in. So like everything was thought of for her. So there wasn't the additional stress like alongside having to stay inside. So Sabina's actually sent along a small clip of her living area in the Stenton townhouse, which you should be about to. People forget to bring induction pans, and regular ones just don't. As well as sofas, and a tip for Sabina, she says that you can try and split a TV or a projector between you and your house, as hers did, because it's really nice that they can all watch movies together as a little break from studying, and the kind of social space in their halls allows them to do that really nicely. What wasn't in the film, because I guess it's November, is there's a little garden area out the back where you can kind of sit and relax. It's kind of fenced off, which will be really handy kind of like in summer and to get a bit warmer, but at the moment I guess it's a bit too chilly. She's also sent along a little final video of her room, which should be along now. And as you can see, she has made it dead cozy and really kind of individual, like lots of pictures on the walls. And crucially, it has a desk in for those days where the weather just looks way too rubbish to walk to the library, no matter how close it is. But yeah, as you can see, heaps of storage space, and there's lots of opportunities to kind of make it your own and make it as close to home as it can be.
Thank you very much, Alana, for sharing with us Sabina's experience. As you can see, guys, this is not jail, okay? You can see live very decently, and it's very nice from what you can see in the videos. But yes, Alana, can you tell us now about your experience in halls? I know you're currently in a house, but you used to live in a catered accommodation, and a lot of people have questions about, how that works. So would you like to tell us about yours?
Yeah, fab, of course. So yeah, for the past 2 years, as you say, I've lived in private housing in the kind of like student area, which is about a 10-minute walk from the university. It is managed privately, but the student union RUSU helped us a lot in the first year when we were looking for the houses. Anything from like holding advisory meetings and telling us what to look for, to they actually looked over my housing contract before we signed it to check it was all legit. I think because like I just turned 18 and never signed like a big contract before, I just wanted to make sure it was all right. So they were really helpful and kind of reassuring in that sense. First year though, Martina's right. Yeah, I lived in Windsor Hall, which is one of the catered halls on campus. So how that worked was that you got a certain amount of money. I think it was about £60 a week when I was there, put on a card, which you could use to buy food from anywhere on campus. Most of the time I at the restaurant type thing that was opposite our accommodation, because they did like really varied meals and it was just convenient. But having the card meant that if I wanted to drink 19 iced coffees from the cafe instead, then I could. Also, food was like available throughout the day, which meant I wasn't restricted to set meal times like I know happens at other unis. So it just really kind of worked well for me, and I could adapt it to when I felt hungry, really. I guess one of the only other main differences between Windsor, where I stayed, and other halls is it was a much more like traditional layout in halls. So rather than having a flat of like 8 to 10 people, as is kind of the norm now, I lived in a hallway with 27 people. And that might sound insane, but it was actually really fun. It meant there was always someone around to chat to. And I mean, there were 6 bathrooms along our big corridor that we could use. So I'd never have to wait for a shower when I was running late for a 9 a.m, which was a lot. It was a lot.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Alana. That's beautiful. I'm gonna ask you, if you don't mind, to go over again Sabina's accommodation, the kitchen, because apparently it couldn't be heard. If you can talk again through the video, so that you can explain what you were saying about the kitchen.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Thank
Yeah. So in her kitchen, it's kind of laid out in like a big social space. So there's like a nice long dining coming along. And then there's a kitchen with like all the normal stuff you'd have in a kitchen, like kettles, microwave, oven, toasters. You don't need to bring any of that with you. And induction hobs, not regular hobs, so don't bring regular pans because they won't work. There's big sofas all along, so there's like a nice big social space for you to get to know your flat. I think townhouses 12 people along 3 floors, so there's 4 people in each floor. And they split a TV and a projector between them all so they could watch films and stuff in the big social space together as a little break.
Lovely. Thank you for that. I hope you guys could hear that again. I also have a question here from Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca. You were asking which accommodation is best for someone who wants to live in a sociable place. This is an interesting question. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I'm actually happy to answer to this. In my opinion, Wessex was quite a social horse, where I stayed in first year. So I think if I explain it in this way, it might be easier. So Wessex is kind of like a mix between Windsor and Sabina's like Spenton houses, in the sense that Wessex has that kind of same hallway, which is quite communal, but also we have our own kitchen and dining space. So we did a lot of kind of group activities like cooking together, or like just like interacting with people just around like the hallway. That was like really nice to kind of make friends with different people just because of the sheer atmosphere and everyone being in the same boat. Wessex was also perfect for me because it was right by the lake, which I found so beautiful. People in my kitchen and I actually went for runs together, so there's plenty of things to do and socialize. And it was only 5 minutes away from the art and psychology book. If I was actually ever late, this was perfect for me, because I actually wouldn't be running late because it would be so close. And there were many events that Wessex put on, mainly geared to kind of socialization. So we had the Wessex football team, which made it easy to kind of make friends and socialize. And also having a library in Wessex, it was very convenient to kind of do your work and socialize after. We also have a Wessex pub called Ice House, so we would sometimes meet there after as well. So yeah, there are plenty of opportunities to socialize.
Yeah, in my opinion, for example, I think, well, Wessex is lovely, but I want a place that was a bit more quiet but sociable at the same time. I used to stay in Benyon Hall, which is literally 5 minutes. So this is the fence of Uni, and I was here. So the whole idea is that I wanted to be on campus, or at least, you know, the area of campus. That, I think that's key and essential as a first year student. That's the best way to socialize. I was freaking out as well about where am I going to meet people, who, how, lectures, how. Nah, so it's important that first year, you know, you try to find that vibe and just people coming in and out the whole time. That's how I met my current best friends. So yeah, if you want to find somewhere a little bit more, you know, quiet, always outside, literally campus, which is where Gabby was staying, Benyon Hall, I think it's great in that sense. So yeah, moving on to sports and societies, which is another topic that we get very asked about. I see here that we've also received a lot of questions on the facilities that we have in uni. Especially, I think this is very relevant now because with this whole lockdown thing and as a whole, how very unstable everything is. It's important that you guys can, you know, have somewhere to breathe, to play sports if you want, because you can still do it. With regulations, we can still do it. You know, take those things into consideration, you know, to feel that you can relax. So yeah, do you guys want to talk about the facilities that we have?
Yeah, so the facilities that we have on campus, there's actually loads. So we've got rugby and football pitches, five-a-side football as well. We have hockey, outdoor and indoor tennis, and then inside we have things like korfball, squash. I've seen people do badminton. The gym runs like sessions every week for like bum, legs, and tums, weight training, different bits and bobs like that. And the gym itself has 2 floors, so we have like a cardio and a strength-based area. Regarding things like swimming and stuff, I know we have a swimming society, and I'm pretty sure they go to one of the pools in town. So whether you're interested in doing something that you've been doing for ages, or you want to try something new, there's definitely like space to do it on campus.
Yeah, so as Lillian has just said, I think one of the main characteristics about this university is the campus. It's literally, I come from an American university, yeah. This is the closest thing I've seen in the United Kingdom to an American campus. Is huge, 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 huge. And in terms of facilities, is absolutely incredible. Now, talking about sports, I know you girls, some of you joined societies during your first year. And people, I think personally, people tend to have a very standard image of what joining a society means, you know. Of course, it's a lot of fun going out, yes, playing sports, but there's definitely different sort of things you can do within a society, you know. You can play very different roles. So do you want to talk about how different that was from your experiences?
Yes. So when I first came to university, I joined the British Sign Language Society with some friends, and after doing that for a year, I decided to become part of the committee. That basically meant that I could have a role within the society. I was I was voted as president, so I basically could plan the lessons, I planned socials, I made sure everything was running smoothly, and that the society just had like a good year. And then this year, so my third year, I stepped down and became treasurer, which basically means that I'm in charge of membership, any payments that the university or the society does. So things like if we have a social and we get a pizza, I basically make sure that the person who bought it got reimbursed. And then in my second year, I joined Korfball. I'm not part of the society, but I really enjoy it. It's a brand new sport to me. I've never done it before. I never even heard of it, but it's really good fun, and I've met some really good friends through joining the societies.
Yeah, I think my experience has been quite similar to yours, Lilia. I joined the Fine Arts Society in first year, and I became a committee member in my second year, so taking the role of welfare rep. And this was quite kind of related to what I want to go into in terms of like working with people and relationships. But also, I had the chance to kind of help with events and supporting other roles as well, which kind of helped me get a taste of what else there is out there. And it was a really good way to not only kind of enrich my university life and an informal setting and meet other people that are interested in art, not only from my art department, but it's also been so valuable in terms of like the responsibilities that come with it, and like having the kind of choose like what events are going on, whether we're going to like visit an art gallery in London or running some sessions. It's a really cool way to kind of get everyone involved. And actually, there and I still go to the society itself, although I'm not a committee member. I do still kind of attend the sessions, and the live drawing sessions online are really really cool. And again, like this whole experience has been so enriching for me, but it's also something that I know I can take forward in my career and build up my CV, which I have found indispensable.
Exactly. So from what you can see, guys, we really managed to squeeze everything out of these experiences. You can definitely have fun and meet people, but you can also gain so many other different aspects. And as Gabby was saying, things for your CV, you know, which we're later going to talk about, but it's important, and I stress this a lot. You should be looking for those things throughout your university experience. Now, Anna, for example, I know you played football, right? I wanted to ask you, for those who are interested, just like me before coming here, of making friends, how was your experience in terms of, yeah, socializing? How did you find, because it's a way of, you know, not necessarily having to go out or something like that. How did you find it?
Good. I've been playing football for a few years before uni, and I definitely knew that football was something that I wanted to get into. And I actually missed the trials because I'd sprained my shoulder just before. But I contacted the president and I said, look, like I'm really interested in it. I still want to play. And she brought me to the training and was just really welcoming. And I just met like really like-minded people to me, like really outgoing, just similar to what like sort of the girls I've played with before. And in my third year house currently, I live with two girls that I met during my first year at football. So yeah, it's just really fun. And society wise, we had weekly socials or like monthly at pub crawls, union nights, like go karting. So it's really fun. And just yeah, everyone gets on really well. But I've also joined my geography course society. It's nothing to do with the academics, but it's just a good way of getting everyone to know each other, especially during the first year when you're just putting random group works or like field trips. And geography, I'd say, is just really social. It just makes everything a lot more relaxed and easier, and it's just, yeah, everyone just gets on really well.
Yeah.
So I definitely, yeah.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to add in terms of socializing, you guys have not, you will make friends in the least expected situations, you know? Of course, we've been talking about sports, we've been talking about accommodation, but when you're first year, everyone is in the same situation. Everybody's trying to meet people. So no matter what, and no matter what type of person you are, there's always going to be, you know, a circumstance or more situations similar to who you are, where you're going to find people that are more relatable and, you know, similar to you. Now, going back to learning experiences, a lot of students, a lot of you guys are worried about, not worried, but concerned, interested, I don't know how to word it, about industrial placements. Some of you don't even know what that is. And sometimes it's not even regarded as an option before applying to university. But I think it makes very sense now to really consider it, not just because it's relevant as a future graduate, of course, but also in this COVID situation, you should really be looking towards your, you know, experience, future career. So Constance, for example, you did 2 summer placements, right? Can you tell them or everyone watching us, how did it help you in terms of career choice? Is that what you wanted to is that related to what you're studying? Do you want to do that in a future time? Do you recommend doing this?
Yeah, so I did two and actually both of mine were abroad. First place I did really amazing like cultural experiences.
Sorry, Constance, do you mind repeating a little bit from the beginning, because you were cut? Do you mind? I think no one heard you. Sorry, could you tell us again, yeah, about your experience? If you could start. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So I did 2 summer placements abroad while I was at
Yeah.
university. The first one being in Spain with one of my lecturers, doing archaeological excavations and all sorts of like cultural things as well. I had to know some Spanish. I'd never done Spanish before, and I don't retain any of the Spanish. Um, I managed to have to climb a hill to get to one of the places we were working, and didn't realise they were asking us in Spanish if we wanted a lift. And then the rest of the group came afterwards, and we got the lift up the hill while we were still walking, and it took us about 45 minutes. So I really learnt my lesson. And then was actually in Germany. And I worked with a professional archaeology. Team, which is what I want to do when I graduate at the end of this year. And I have to say I'm much better at German than I am at Spanish, so I found the language thing was really interesting. We got to do loads of cultural experiences, like going to Berlin and Hamburg, as well as like meeting people in different countries. It really helped me with like career experience, as well as having amazing time exploring the local cultures. And so I really would recommend taking a placement opportunity, especially if it's abroad. It's such a good thing to add to your CV, and it just will put you ahead of other candidates when you graduate.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anna, what about you? I know you did a placement that was not strictly related to your course, but how did you find that still, you know, relevant, and what did you take out of it?
Yeah, so I study geography, and I actually completed a agricultural internship. It was a research placement over just this summer past. It was with a academic staff at the uni, and I just basically helped her with her own research project, and I was paid for my time over the 6 weeks. And but due to COVID, it was at home, like it was a virtual internship. But because my supervisor knew that I didn't really know that much background knowledge about it before, she was just really helpful. And but I learned so much, and I've got loads of new skills for my CV. especially research skills that I'm using now during my dissertation. Because I'm third year now, I'm doing my dissertation at the moment, which is really stressful. But yeah, but I've learned so much, and I think I've gained skills like virtual learning, better professional communication skills. So yeah, I definitely would recommend completing as many as your possibilities you're given. So yeah.
Yeah, that sounds so good. Although I didn't do a placement, I feel that I gained so much from my study abroad experience. I was to study abroad in Australia. I studied in Melbourne at Monash University in my third year. So since my course is 4 years long, this was the start of my kind of third year where I did it, and I found it the most amazing experience ever since applying for my course. I was saving for this because I always wanted to go there and be able to study abroad, and it was really a dream. I got to pick my own modules there, which gave me the freedom to kind of gain new skills and also kind of inspiration and see how they're kind of teaching art in a different setting. And I brought all this back with me, and it's fed into my art practice so much. I was also able to meet people, which really helped me with kind of networking, and I still keep in touch with them now, which is amazing. I also learned so much about kind of, culture and also the independence of living and traveling abroad. This was my first kind of big solo travel that I'd ever done. So it was really kind of amazing to have that kind of sense of independence and also having that to organize it. And my kind of organization, time management has never been this good. Yeah, I got to experience a new way of life, and I'm just so grateful for the university for helping me to do this, because I also was able to access and apply for some kind of alumni bursaries from the university. So it helped me to invest in material and fun experiences, which I'll never forget.
Thank you, girls, for sharing all of those amazing experiences. To sum up a little bit of all those three perspectives about placement, the whole idea about either internships or studying abroad or summer or winter placements is that it's not just about trying to find a job as soon as you finish university and trying to, sign that job contract, but it's more about, I receive a lot of questions from you saying, oh, Martina, why are you studying politics and international relations? What are you going to work on when you finish university? That's the whole purpose of work experience throughout your degree. You need to find the way to develop those skills and then be able to apply them to the workplace, if you know what I mean. What's the whole point of studying theory if you don't really, you're going to just arrive to a job and you don't even know where to start? So the whole idea is that from the very first year, you start to explore that in some way or another. So as you can see, even if you think, how is that related to what I want to do in the future? Well, at least you try to discover, oh, is this what I like? Is this what I don't like? It's just trying to get to know a little bit more about what you want to do with your life, which is the whole purpose of university. So talking about work as well and experience, I would like to bring up the topic of working on campus, which for a lot of you international students, is a big thing. You guys are worried about, are we still working on campus? How many hours can you work? How many positions? What type of positions? So we actually have students here today, some of my colleagues that are working on campus. Some of us, were doing it online. So for instance, Anna, I know you're working face-to-face, right, in university bars. How has the situation changed when working on campus?
Yeah, so I have a job working at the bars and catering outlets on campus. So I'll be serving like food and drinks to all the other uni students. Could work up to 20 hours, so due to my student contract. But really busy, like prior to the pandemic. But even now, we still have loads of tables designated to students. It's just all table service. And still following the guidelines, so maximum 6 people, shut at 10. But it's still nice knowing that everyone can still come and socialise even during the pandemic, and even now during the lockdown. I'm still working, haven't lost my job or been furloughed or anything, which is nice. I just serve the students in catered halls. So yeah.
I agree with that completely. I think for me, I'm a student ambassador, and I work on campus. Last year, it was very flexible with my hours, but because I was going to and from lectures, there were fewer hours that I could take up. Whereas this year with the pandemic, it's actually worked in my benefit because all the lectures are online. So I can actually study and work as and when I want, in a much more flexible way than I could last year, which is really good. So yeah, no, I've found the experience just fine, really.
Thank you for sharing those views, guys. Now, just talking about working in general. Well, we've received a question I can see from someone. Oh, whether you can do a full year of placement. Yes, I'm going to reply to that. Absolutely. That's what I'm working on right now. I want to do a whole placement next year. So you have to do that in a year in advance because you obviously need to prepare. It requires, even if you don't think so, it requires a lot of dedication. Of course, placements are competitive. This uni offers we have a huge jobs platform, but obviously it's competitive because the companies that you're applying for are not random companies, they're very good ones, and a lot of the times people always find companies related to their course, so obviously it's something you have to work hard on, but you can definitely apply for a whole year. It can be spring placement, it can be winter, it can be the whole year, summer, whatever you prefer. Now, continuing with what I was saying, not just talking about working on campus, but just working as a whole, even whatever type of job you're doing part-time. It's a topic of concern, the idea of time management. I know it can be hard. That was me at the beginning of the first term last year. Alana, I know you're in my position. You've been working a lot throughout your degree. How did you manage to find that perfect balance at that time between, working and still managing to have good grades and doing what you have to do?
Yeah, so at the moment, I think all right on campus, well, I guess technically online, but they're all run through the uni. But during my first and second year, I worked in this small little independent cafe in Reading. Because it was quite small, I did kind of a real mixture of things, but my friends who worked in town with me usually acted as servers, baristas in retail, that kind of thing, all the typical kind of student jobs you might imagine. I've, as kind of you were saying, Martina, very similar to you, I've had a job since the beginning of first year, which I think kind of made it easier to adapt because I learned how to manage work and uni commitments right from the beginning together. I'm quite lucky in English literature, I guess. I don't have a lot of contact face-to-face hours. It's a lot of independent learning. So I can be fairly flexible in terms of when I do my uni work. So if I'm working during the day, I can catch up on my reading in the evening. I think the most important thing that I've learned is just to get really good at kind of planning my life and using calendars and reminders and all that kind of thing. So I know that I've got enough time to finish my essays while still taking on some work shifts. I mean, obviously, things can happen you can't plan for or prepare for, but on the whole, if you start academic work early and you don't overload yourself with paid stuff, then it really is just manageable to split your time between university and having a job.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that one. In my case, this term, I've been doing 3 jobs at the same time, more than 20 hours a week, meaning because I don't receive student finance here. So if I can do it, anyone else can do it. The whole point of this is I'm not saying that you have to work more than 20 hours a week. Everybody knows their limits. But it's good to, first of all, I always think it's good to work. But secondly, like she was saying, you get to know your priorities and you also develop a lot of skills. Working under pressure, being very focused. At the end of it's sacrifice, it is. But I mean, that's the whole point of being here. You want something, you go for it. So there's a price to pay. So, but yeah, the whole idea is that on campus, there's choices everywhere. You can work in any sort of, area. And of course, our managers, we're in a university, so they're super flexible. They know that we have to study. That's our priority here. So if you can't do as many hours as you wish, that's absolutely fine. Now, moving on to student life in Reading, how do we have fun here nowadays? I know as young people that we are as well, you guys I'm sure you're concerned about, okay, well, how's Reading now? What do you guys do in town? What do you guys do outside your accommodation, whether it's a house or halls? How, do we manage to have fun? So, Constance, how, from your perspective, how has the life, outside the classroom changed? How do you find everything now?
So I think it's really important to say first and foremost that obviously the student experience has had to change slightly due to COVID restrictions, but it doesn't stop you from having a great student experience at all. Have to have changed, especially during freshers. Our students' union worked really hard to make sure that events could still happen. So they did things like making a mini golf course in the union, and they created a big pub and had done things like brunches. So yeah, there's been that, and then obviously Reading is a great student town, and we have lots of venues in town, and they've also been putting on loads of different events for socialising for students, but comply with the current restrictions. I can say, like, for me, one thing that me and my housemates have done is we've actually gone to get involved in our local community a bit more and looking at supporting local businesses. And Reading has loads of amazing local markets that happen nearly every day of the week. So we've actually taken some time this year to go and explore those. Also, like, in a lockdown, so we're only really going into university to do work. So we've just had sort of fun things to do. So one of the things we've been doing is we watch shows together or bake. Our current show is The Crown, and we've made a video game to do that. So there's definitely a lot of stuff.
Thank you, Constance. We just lost you a little bit in the end, but we could hear most of it. Thank you very much. I have a couple of questions here coming in about societies. So some of you are asking how many societies do people tend to join in the first year? Well, I think this is a very relative question, because to join, you can join as many societies as you want. The idea is, or the question is, to what extent are you willing to get involved in those societies? Because I mean, you can join and basically not participate or not be as active as other people, but usually people tend to join one or two because the idea is that you're actually trying to be part of the team and to be part of the community. So that's what makes sense. But like I said, if you want to join, you can join whatever. And then I have a question for you girls. Holly, hello. She's asking here, is it hard to balance societies as well as your courses? Lillian, would you like to reply to that?
So personally, I don't think so. So with sign language, it's 1 hour every week where we sort of learn. And then every couple of weeks or once a month, we do like a social. So before COVID, we might do like a movie night where we book a room out on campus. Like a pizza night, but because it's like 2 hours, maybe a month for sign language, it's not that much. Regarding Corfu, before COVID, it used to be maybe 4 hours a week of training, and then at weekends sometimes there'd be matches or there'd be socials. But personally, because that's what I enjoyed doing, that's what I would do in my free time. So I would say like Friday evening when we had training, that's going to be my like time to have fun. So rather than go out clubbing or go out for like a meal, I would go to Corfu and hang out with the people that I was friends with.
Thank you very much, Lillian. We also I've received a question on how diverse is our uni, and then during the event I've also seen how multicultural this university is. Well, this question is actually interesting because I was concerned as a mixed race person. I was concerned as well before coming to university. Like I said, I'm Spanish, and my choice was very blind in terms of I just applied to my favorite universities based on my preconceptions of them, but I didn't really know what I was going to be facing. And it's not the same having, a testimony from someone that's actually studying there than to actually, scroll down through a website. So obviously what I have to say, if there's one thing that this university is diverse. This is a very student town. You'll see people from anywhere, North Asia, South Asia, Latin America, all of Europe, Africa, even Americans. I think that the whole idea of is not just being diverse, but it's also who you're willing to get to know, how open you are, who are you willing, to be friends with. But I had no problems in that sense. Even English people, a lot of them, they come from different cultural backgrounds. Their moms or their dads, they just were born in different countries. So that was what I loved about coming here to the United Kingdom. In the beginning, it was a bit of a cultural shock because I realized, oh wow, it's a lot of ethnicities together. But yeah, it's beautiful. You're going to find people from literally anywhere. And now, to bring this lovely evening event to an end, I would like to bring up a very interesting question that indirectly a lot of you guys ask about. I actually recorded a vlog on this on Unibuddy. We got a lot of views. It was why did I decide to come to University of Reading, and like my 4 main reasons why. And the whole purpose of this is just, you have to find that one aspect that's going to make you decide on one over the other. And what is that main preference, or that one thing that's going to tell you, okay, this is it, this is my uni, and this is where I'm going. So, girls, from your perspectives, can you share with everyone why was this place for you? Why did you decide to come here?
I'll go first. My one thing would probably be because I live in northeast London, and so it's not that far from me to drive back home. It only takes me an hour and a half. I've got my car up with uni, and I know that I wanted to move out of home, move out of London, but not go that far. Like, I've had some friends go up north to Nottingham, but yeah, I just knew that I wanted to come home on weekends every month or so, just see friends and family. So yeah.
Yeah, mine was quite short and sweet, I'd say. I chose Reading mainly because the combined course that they do for art and psychology. So I really kind of struggled picking and kind of deciding on a certain course. I went to so many open days and so many taster days, but not until I came across like the art and psychology course at Reading until I was sure that I really wanted to go there. Because I get kind of the best of both worlds, and I have both like that I have at the end if I want to pursue them. So the psychology course is BPS accredited, which means I have a British Psychological Society accreditation, meaning that I can kind of go into therapies or art therapy if I want to at the end of my degree. And so this was really kind of nice for me to keep my options open, but also upon really visiting the campus itself, I really fell in love with it, and I felt really welcome when I came to visit. So it was a win for me.
My reasons for choosing Reading was because, like Gabby said, the psychology degree is BPS accredited, and also I really like the variety of like modules I could pick in my 2nd and 3rd year.
I agree mainly. I agree mainly with what everyone said, really. I also think I really liked Reading because of the campus. When I arrived, it was pouring with rain, but I did like the fact that it was very green. And Reading's a place where it's very open space, but also you've got quite a large town. I think it's the biggest town in England. I might be wrong. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Also, the law department was very good, and the Law Society sounded really fun from what I heard from a previous student had said about it. Yeah, and I think also I went on the day and it just felt right. I think going with your instincts is a really good thing to do, because Reading's definitely been the right choice for me.
Yeah, I agree with her. It's quite hard to like narrow down because of instinct, but I think the thing that really stood out for me was like the encouragement from the university to like get a job and experience alongside my degree, like we've been talking about. Like some universities that I looked at kind of like ban students from getting a job while they study, which I knew I like couldn't afford. So the fact that uni understood that the like financial reality that students face was really important to me. And I guess I knew I wanted to study English literature, which isn't exactly like vocational in the way something like medicine or law is. And in sixth form, I definitely didn't know what I wanted to do as a career. So I wanted to use my time at uni to work out what I wanted to do. So being encouraged to get that professional experience alongside my degree was great. And my department gave me the tools to get that. I've actually just applied for a PGCE here because I've worked out through my degree that I want to teach. So hopefully I'll be coming back to Reading next year.
Sorry, Constance, we can't hear you. Sorry. Can you come closer to your camera or to your microphone? Do you mind? Constance? Yeah. Can you try now? Okay, can you hear us?
Constance, your mic's on mute.
Okay, I'll go with my reason why, and then if she's with us, she'll say hers. So the reason why I decided to choose this university, this is my second degree, so I've had things pretty clear in my mind. I knew exactly what I was looking for. And the main two reasons why I decided was, the first one, it's one of the few universities that has politics and international relations, like exactly that combination. Not economics, not international studies, not anything else, philosophy, nothing, just those two, just my passion. And obviously I didn't hesitate. And then what Alana was saying, work experience. This is what I was saying before, that is very important. You need it. You can't reach the third, year of your degree and be there without skills, without experience, without hobby. No, you need to build a structure. And what I love about this university is that, like I said, since the very beginning, you have career fairs, you have everything. So that's my main reason why. We have a question saying, would you suggest studying law? Who wants to reply to that question? Okay, there you go, Kira. Your turn.
Sorry, what was the question about law again? Could you repeat it?
Kira, I'm not sure if we can hear you.
What was the question, sir? Can you not hear me?
Again? Cover your microphone, or
I'm not doing anything.
Okay. Hold on, we're gonna keep this question here, guys. I'm gonna move on because we had another question. We had a question about how different were your expectations compared to the reality. So did it change? Was it what you were thinking? So Alana, would you like to reply to that?
Yeah, I think my expectations pretty lined up with what my degree turned out to be. I knew that there was going to be a lot of choice, which the department has kind of offered me. I had the opportunity to take modules from outside of my department in other subjects, which has been really nice and kind of informed my studies. I think what I didn't expect was how kind of contact hours work, because on paper it says that I have like 6 hours a week at university, which sounds like nothing, but I think just there's so much you can get involved in your department if you want to, that really fills up your time. So they run like extra lectures, and I've gone to like events on like speaking Shakespeare because I do English, so like how to teach that to classes, and I do different like kind of cultural events, book groups, all those kind of things that really kind of make the department a much more lively place. So even though it comes across like there isn't a whole lot going on with your week because it says 6 hours on paper, I found that not to be the case, and that really surprised me.
Okay, lovely. Thank you for that. I'm sorry, Kira, for cutting you before. It was definitely my technology. So can you tell us again, why would you suggest, or if you would suggest, studying law?
I was just studying law because I think it's a very transferable, you get very transferable skills from it. It's very widely sought after, and you can apply it to quite a few jobs. I think when you learn law, you get an overall, because you learn about the Constitution as well. So you could almost even go into politics with law, because you just get an all-round idea of how society is and why it is the way it is and why there are laws and stuff like that. I think also if you do a law degree, you definitely have to be interested in the idea of learning about the law. I think that's very key. It's a very reading-based degree. So that's definitely something to consider. If you are not a fan of reading, I would not suggest taking up a law degree. It definitely takes up a lot of your time. But it's very comprehensive, and I think if you're an academic sort of person, but you're not necessarily interested in like maths, like I wasn't, then law is definitely a good idea.
Thank you so much. So guys, the whole conclusion, the main ideas that you should get out of everything that we've been sharing with you is your university experience is going to be different. It doesn't necessarily it's going to be worse, it's just different. And that's what you should be looking for, you know, ways to adapt to it. And in terms of choosing university, talking about facilities, modules, courses, you know, basic things, you should be looking towards that. You know, how is that university going to adapt to you, and if that's what you're looking for, and if you're going to fit in the way they're doing this blended teaching more than, you know, anything else. But also, other than that, you should focus as well on your preferences, your personal preferences. You can't forget that this is also, you know, it's your university journey like ours, even though it's very different and very unexpected. You still have to follow your dreams and what you want to do, and try to do, you know, as much as you want within those limits. So don't forget about your goals. Like I said, follow your instincts. Find that one thing that will make you choose between one university or another, and I'm sure you will fit in no matter what, no matter your insecurities, no matter, you know, your concerns, you will find your way. So thank you very much for attending the event. I am going to show you a little video here of some other students, colleagues of us, that have expressed as well their opinion on what are their favorite things about our university. So here we go.
I really enjoy my course. I'm doing an integrated master's in psychology. So in my third year I got to go on placement in the NHS, and I got trained as a therapist, which was really helpful and really fun.
My favourite thing about university is having the great facilities to study my course. So for example, our brand new library and our personal art studio.
My favourite thing about university is being able to study just one subject, which I'm really interested in lots of detail.
My favourite thing about university is the opportunities that I've had. I've done so many extracurriculars related to my course, as well as volunteer work and worked for the university, all things that I've really enjoyed.
I think being able to meet people from such diverse backgrounds. I live with the most amazing people for the past 3 years that I wouldn't have got a chance to meet if I hadn't gone to university.
So this is it, guys. Thank you very much. Like I've said, I hope that we have been able to reply to all of your detailed questions. Like I said before, we have tried to design this in a way that, you know, we're basically thinking from your shoes and trying to ask ourselves as many questions as you do. Obviously, you can always find us on Unibuddy. You can just type on Google Chatsworth Students University of Reading. You will find all of our profiles based on your preferences and what you want to ask. You can filter and you will find the perfect choice. So yeah, if you have any more questions, we can still reply. If not, contact us and we'll be more than happy to help you. Best of luck with your choices, and I definitely hope to see you here. Say bye, girls. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.